Right? Last week, you have GDP coming in light, you have a hotter inflation read, and the market gets all upset. And then what happens? Mega cap earnings come and save the day. We had the best week in the stock market since November last week, even in the face of all that. I bring that up because are we going to get a part 2 tonight where Amazon reports and reminds us of why we're here in the first place and the kinds of stocks that we've bet on in the first place and calms everything down again?
Amazon is going to be great. It is. It's absolutely going to be great. And it'll help us all feel a little bit better about the consumer. Okay, so the problem I have is the stock is up 18% year to date. And numbers have been creeping higher for AWS to be 15, maybe 16% from 13% last quarter.
Well, the 13 is the estimate. So you're talking about, you raise a great point. The whisper is much higher than what the estimate is. So that means the bar is higher.
That's absolutely right. That's why I say that's the problem. I think the report is going to be very strong. AWS is just a piece of that. Retail, online stores expected to be 7% growth. I think that's going to be great. I think margins are going to be great. They've done a great job in terms of cost cutting, and the fulfillment center build out is done. So I think it is going to be, and oh, by the way, advertising I also think is going to be an upside surprise as well. Again, I just think the expectations are super high. I trimmed a little bit last couple of weeks. I would be more than happy to be buying it back if it's weak.
Josh, you also have, these, and I think Meta is kind of caught in the same thing of these AI aspirations versus cost cutting, right? Meta's stock performance, they learned the hard way. When you condition a marketplace that you've gotten over your excessive spending, or at least large amounts of it, and then you come back, even if it's for something as believable as investors believe in AI, you sort of take a pause. And I wonder what the impact might be on Amazon if they come out and say, well, our cost cutting's got to take a back seat for a minute because we need to ramp. We need to spend on AI because that's the next growth area.
So I think Amazon is a different animal from Meta. I get your point, but I think Amazon is a different animal from Meta because a lot of the AI quote unquote spending that's taking place is being spent with Amazon. So that's, by the way, there's a reason why the numbers are creeping up, and that reason is both Microsoft and Google had their cloud sales accelerate last quarter versus the sequentially prior quarter. So, it's not like out of the blue, all of a sudden everyone's excited. It's unlikely that you saw the acceleration you saw at the other two and not at AWS, which is arguably one of the better of the three, or of the, let's say, the 5 biggest cloud platforms. I think, though, also part of the story here is that, this is a stock where they have, first of all, it's the only trillion-dollar company that doesn't pay a dividend yet. So we'll see if there's going to be a capital return story here. I think there might be. That's number one. Number two, the advertising business here is also growing as fast or faster than the cloud business. So I don't think the focus has to just be what's the AWS number, and then we just trade off of that. This is now the 3rd biggest advertising business in the country. And again, that is a growth business for Amazon. And then the cost-cutting story. You talk about, like, is Meta spending too much? Is the street all of a sudden more focused on, well, where are the profits from AI, et cetera, et cetera? As Stephanie and I have talked about for a long time, Amazon has had tons of room to cut excess spending from all different areas of the business. And so I think if they give guidance there, that effort continues, that also should be good enough for the street tonight.
Jimmy, sales are expected at a record, but, Steph pointed to the year-to-date move in the stock. It's also up more than 70% in the past year.
Yeah.
Is that an asset or a liability?
It depends on how you look at it. The way I look at it is if you go back the last 3.5 years, it's basically flat. I mean, it was August of 2020 that it first reached the level that it's at right now. And it's had some sharp moves up and down in those 3.5 years. It recently actually broke out to a new all-time high. I think we all marked that on the show. That was about 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it did.
Yes, we did.
Sorry, yeah. And look, it pulled back with the market the last couple of weeks. Pulled back with the market the last last couple of weeks, but it really seems to me like it's set up for a breakout to higher levels. The overall performance of the company is startling. I'm looking on FactSet right now, just at net income, right? I mean, that's what we own stocks for, is their net income. Net income has tripled at this company over the last 5 years. And, you know, of those 5 years, 3.5 years, the stock's done nothing. I'm pretty comfortable owning Amazon right here. I think of all the large cap techs, this is the one that's probably the most positioned, even after Microsoft and Google, to outperform in its earnings.